Hi, welcome to Gabie's Knit Goodies. I'm here, of course, with my lovely puppy co-host, but I have a human co-host today. This is Ashley, and actually we officially just met today. We've talked online, and she has knit my patterns, as well as used some of my yarn. So it's very exciting to meet her in person, and she's agreed to come and talk about knitting, and mainly knitting.
And Moose has also decided I'm his new friend.
Yes.
So it's just a day full of friendship.
That's right. The dogs have definitely adopted her because she is very willing to pet them. All right. A good question to start off with would probably be, when did you learn to knit? And how did you learn to knit?
So I actually learned to crochet first, and then I learned to knit.
Me too.
So I taught myself to crochet when I was about 16, and then I taught myself to knit when I was probably 19 or 20. I couldn't originally get the cast on right. So I was having a hard time with that. So a friend of mine in college actually did know how to knit, and she wanted to learn to crochet. So she taught me the cast on, but our classes schedules were kind of opposite, and I was a commuter student. So once she gave me the cast on, YouTube pretty much did the rest. Yeah. And then I had taught her how to crochet. So that was how I started doing it. But technically I did learn to make one crochet stitch when I was like 8. My grandmother knew how to make chevron blankets. And that was...
Yeah, that was popular back then, right?
It was, and it was the only stitch she knew.
Yeah.
But she taught me when I was like 8, which having an 8-year-old try and make a full-size blanket probably wasn't great, and it became a belt.
Oh, nice. So it didn't get very, very far.
It did not. And, it was in the early 2000-ish time frame when the long cloth belts were in.
Yes.
So
it
became a belt.
Totally worked. Nice. I have a similar story because I learned to crochet first, probably around the same age. My grandmother taught me, and then they're a little excited today because they're not used to having other people in the podcast. But then in college, a friend taught me and a number of other girls how to knit. And then, I probably said this before, but everyone got scarves for Christmas that year out of pure acrylic, cheap yarn, as cheap as I could find. Because, I was a poor college student. So
still was made with love, though.
It was made with love, lots of love, but it was the cheapest way to, do Christmas gifts that year.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, and then I put it down for a long time and then didn't pick it back up till my youngest daughter was probably around 3.
Oh.
So
did you want to make things?
I would do things every now and again, but not a whole lot. Around that time, I just picked it up to start knitting, probably more for myself than anything. I did baby blankets when each kid was when I was pregnant. I did mainly crochet ones. I think, 2 crochet baby blankets. The other one might have been knit. But it wasn't like it is now. I knit whenever I sit now. I knit all the time, every day. But then it was every now and again I'd do a project and it would take me a really long time to actually complete it. But it wasn't all the time by any means.
Yeah, I picked it up more in college because I was a very big reader. But I get so involved in the stories that then I would not want to do my homework. Now I did, I was a good student, but basically I came to the realization that if I was going to stay a good student, I couldn't really read books during the school year. So I wanted a hobby that I could pick up and set down for a few minutes before bed or between classes, so that's when I more started doing it.
Nice. And did you keep up with regular knitting after that? Or
I did.
You did? Nice.
Yeah, I've pretty much knit almost nonstop since then. I mean, everybody loses their knitting mojo every now and again for a month or two, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it just happens. But for the most part, which is why I now have quite a lot of yarn. When my husband and I first got married, and we lived on base originally, and they rented to civilians. And my mother-in-law showed up 3.5 hours early the first time they were coming up after we got married to see, I think it was my husband's birthday. Well, he decided that to be helpful, he would take them on a tour of the house so that I could kind of get my brain together because they were early. And he decided to show my my yarn closet.
I know.
And he was quite proud because he was like, look, I support my wife's hobby. Isn't it great? So, but now, ever since, my mother-in-law teases me about the yarn store in my house. So.
Nice. I'm sure we can all relate to that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to do better about knitting from stash, but yeah.
Yeah. The problem is like you want to knit from stash, but you want to knit a certain project, and the yarn doesn't always match the project.
Or you don't have enough.
Or you don't have quite the right amount, yeah, and so then you have to go buy more. But it's nice yarn, so you don't want to get rid of it at the same time.
And then when you go to buy for the new project, something else inevitably catches your eye. And
Perhaps, yes.
It's a never-ending cycle.
It is. Okay, so on to knitting. Oh, another thing, as you guys know, probably if you've seen me before, Gabie's Knit Goodies on YouTube here and on Instagram. And I have started TikTok, which I was doing a pretty good job when I first got on there, but summer has gotten away from me, so I haven't posted a lot on there since then.
You're braver than me.
And then you are, what is your handle on Instagram?
Mine is Ashley320295.
Okay, and I'll put it up here. So.
And I have a love bug. Apparently.
Yes, and he's not leaving her alone. He knows she's going to be too nice to him.
Don't kiss me. I love you, but don't kiss me.
He's looking up at you with such loving eyes.
He's adorable.
All right, so we'll start with what we're wearing. I'm wearing my Elizabeth Bennett linen tee made out of Lindy Chain by Knit Picks, and it is my own pattern, available on Ravelry and loveknitting.com. I know I've seen it before. It's very lightweight, and I'm wearing it with linen pants today, so it's like the perfect like summer breezy like pajama-like outfit.
Yeah, you look quite stylish.
Why, thank you. I
It's
feel
like-
comfortable.
That's what I want, is to make one of those and then have a cute like outfit like that. Oh, he might go to sleep now. That'd be convenient. So I am wearing the Girl and Me. I believe the designer is Maryland. I assume you can link all that.
Yes, I can link it or at least put it on the screen here.
And this is my summer shawl because it is a yarn that is a cotton wool blend. I think it's called Ice Yarn Karma. And
Okay.
it is a, I think it's a fingering weight.
And it's a triangular shawl?
Yes. And it's knit from a garter tab. And then it's mosaic knitting. So it's, even though I can do stranded color work, this is a little bit easier sometimes because you're only doing one at a time. So it's a better travel project.
Yeah, I think it's good for shawls too when you're knitting back and forth. I think mosaic knitting doesn't, you tend not to have the big long strands as like Bere or Stamp.
Yeah, you don't get quite as much.
So the back I feel like looks a little better. And something that I would think I was commenting, I knit the Coast to Coast wrap by Two of Wands, and it's a mosaic knit wrap. And I feel like mosaic knitting has so much more stretch.
It does.
Than like a Fair Isle.
That is actually one thing I did learn on this one. If you notice my edge is a little wrinkly, I probably need to block the center of it a little more aggressively because the edges are a little bit looser. But I haven't wanted to stick it back on blocking wires because it takes a while.
Yes.
So I've just been wearing it with a ruffle.
It's pretty. I like it. Okay, so finished objects. I will count this as a finished object. I'm hoping to do maybe a whole little mini podcast on this one. Okay, so I'm counting it as a finished object, even though my ends need to be woven in. This is the Nordiska, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, by Caitlin Hunter of Boylan Knitworks.
And it is beautiful.
Yeah, I love it. It is knit top down. It has a V-neck, so it's knit back and forth. And
the whole thing, or just at the neck?
It's knit back and forth just at the neck, and then at the when you get to the tip right here, then it's knit circular. Raglan has the cables in the middle of the raglan increases.
Which is super pretty.
Yeah, I lengthened the arms because I wanted long sleeves, and it has color work. It's only two color work on each strand. On each row or round. So you only have to ever hold two at once. and there's no increases or anything because it's on the bottom half. And then it's basically the same type of thing here on the sleeves. Let's see. It's fairly wide. It's not a fitted garment, and it has fairly deep under the underarms. Oh, and then you pick up for the neck here. You pick up and you knit the ribbing for the neck.
Nice.
Yeah. And I think I did it once, and then I unpicked it and did it again because I got holes. There you go. Right here. And I think I actually modified it and put one stitch in the middle between the decreases for this V-neck.
Really?
Yeah.
Did it make it more smooth?
I like the look of it better, and I don't know if it was just the way I was doing it or what, but the decreases were like right next to each other, and so it had little holes right there, and I just kind of I like having that one stitch in the middle better. I felt like it looked a little neater. But I haven't gone back and looked at projects, like other people's projects of this, because I know there are a ton, and look detail at theirs. I'm not very good at putting my information on Ravelry, but I'll try to do that. Yeah, so the only modifications I made were that one extra stitch there in the middle of the V-neck, and then the length of the sleeves.
Did you add that to the body? Because a lot of times
I did it. That's right. I did, because it says you can start the color work all the way up here right when you split for your sleeves, but I did not want it that cropped. This sits more like regular waist. It's not long by any means, but it's not super cropped, so I can wear it with whatever I want to wear it with. I don't have to wear it with like super high-waisted jeans or anything. So, and it's super comfy. I will put the name of the yarn up here. It is Berroco, and it is, I think, yak and alpaca and merino. So it's nice and soft and squishy. I like it. It's way too warm to wear it now, though.
Isn't that the shame when you make sweaters when it's still warm?
Yes, my Goldwing sweater, I haven't shown that in a while, and I left the last like half of one sleeve. I've done everything but that because it was just really warm, and I knew as soon as I got it off the needles I'd want to wear it, and I was like, I'll just wait and pick it up as soon as the weather just starts to get cold, so then I'll feel like, you know, I accomplished the nice warm sweater in time to wear it, as opposed to, you know, finishing it at the end of the season.
That makes sense. But I find if I set a project aside, I have arthritis in my hands and things, so my gauge will change. So I actually had a sweater that I did that. It got warm, and I set it aside. I only had the sleeves left, and the sleeves are such a different gauge.
Really?
And I didn't realize it until I went to seam the pieces together. But now I'm wondering if I should rip out the sleeves and do them again. But it's a really intense cable on the sleeves. And you're like got like 4 charts at once, and
you don't want to.
I don't know if I really want to do that again, so I might just leave it. But they're also like the cuff is like maybe half an inch too short, but I could just add on to the cuff. But even the cables and the cuffs, I would just have to like add on enough to make it look like it was on purpose. So it's been in timeout for a while. I figured out what to do with it.
Yeah, I've definitely put things in timeout. I hope my gauge doesn't change, because all I have is like half of one sleeve left, and it's knit in the round though, and it's not seamed.
That probably, this was back and forth.
Yeah, so I'll have to pay attention to it, and if it looks different, I'll just have to rip it out and like, you know, try to fix my gauge to make it match. You're gonna totally like mess me up now. I'm gonna go to knit in the fall and be like, one sleeve's like a bell and the other one's not.
Well, I have a hard time with sleeves for that reason. For some reason. Because it just depends on what the hand strength is that day. So, yeah, I like in the round better because that does a little smoother for me.
And then you don't have to seam it. Because, if you, like this, it's knit in 2 pieces, and if you did it too far apart, I guess, your back could be way bigger than your front, and then have troubles. Okay. What about you? Do you have anything finished?
I do. I actually have one of your patterns with me.
Yay!
So, This one you released not too long ago, and I believe you
in the spring.
What did you end up titling it? Geometric Yoke?
Geometric Yoke Sweater, because that's what I named it when I was trying to figure out what to name it, and then I never changed it. And I thought about calling it like the Southwestern sweater or something like that, because it reminds me of like Southwest United States style.
Well, yours is in that orange, gorgeous orange and black.
Yeah, and the color of mine did. But then one of my test knitters was from Spain, and she's like, that means nothing to me. So I was like, well, I guess you're right. Like, especially with patterns, unlike yarn you have to ship it, and it can cost a lot to ship to other countries. But the pattern, you can download it, and so you don't have to ship it. And so I get knitters from all over the world, which is really cool. But they don't know what Southwestern United States is, especially if you just call it Southwest, you know?
That makes sense. I wouldn't have thought of that, though.
I did not either until she said something. So I figured I would just leave it as the Geometric Yoke Sweater, because I didn't have any other creative ideas. And it's all triangles.
I liked it a lot. So this one, you had us start in the back with some short rows to raise up the back of the neck, which I hadn't done. I've made sweaters, but they've either had a hood or they didn't end up having like the raised neck. So that actually, I liked the change in the fit. So that was a nice experiment. And then you had this cool eyelet increased yoke, and then the actual color work, which goes, of course, into the shoulders. And then I did kind of a 3/4-ish. It comes right. It's almost like a long short sleeve, a little bit of a short 3/4 kind of how I looked at it.
Yeah, that's kind of how mine is.
Yeah. And then it's a little bit cropped, but with high-waisted jeans, it's still perfectly fine. And even most normal jeans, it's okay for me, because I'm short, so.
I have a short waist too.
So it works out fine. But my yarn is the Rowan Island Blend Fine, and it's a wool alpaca silk blend.
Ooh, nice.
So it was very much a luxury knit for myself, which I love it, but because of the shorter fiber length, it does pill. The softer yarns are usually softer because of the shorter fiber length, which causes more pilling. So
like cashmere does that too.
Yeah. So especially like on the side where my purse rubs, and then my sleeve against it. Yes. But it's so soft, and I like it so much that I don't really care. I don't mind having to break out a shaver and shave my sweater every now and again. So
show her work up close. She did a great job. There's no, sometimes you get the pulling where the ferrule is, the color work.
Oh, that was something I learned on this, though, is that the gauge can change.
Yes.
Color work, which I had done only a color work like hat or cow, where like all of it was color work. So your gauge was kind of the whole thing. So that was something I learned.
And I think you were the one who commented on there to add, and I added in the pattern before the color work, that sometimes it depends on you as a knitter, but a lot of knitters, I think, go up a size for color work because it's easier to maintain gauge.
Yeah. Which I think I was overcompensating too, because in my head I assumed it was going to be looser with the like floats, so I also may have been overcompensating. But this was my first time doing a color work on the sweater, and I liked it a lot, so then I've been looking at some other ones.
I'm surprised, considering how long you've been knitting, that you had not done color work on a sweater.
I've just, I guess, been intimidated by it, which is funny because I had done cows and hats and things and had no problem, but I was really worried that on something that large, because it's bunched up on your needles while you knit, that I would have a harder time with the floats. And I didn't want to ruin it and be angry with myself. But it actually wasn't nearly as difficult as I had made it out to be in my head. So it was really pretty much just the same as the cowl or the hat, just you're still only working on the part that's on your needles. So.
Right. And now you can do any of it, because this is just two color as well. That you just changes which two colors you're using. So it's the same thing as that one. So you'll have to do more color sweaters.
Yes. Yeah, you keep posting all the different things you're working on and things, and I'm like, and that keeps getting added to my queue. I'm like, I like that, and I like that.
I've been trying to do, I like following the prompts that people do every now and again. Like it's TL Yarn Crafts, I think, has posted prompts for June. because, I don't know, I'm not very creative, I guess, about what to like write on my Instagram posts. And so I like that because it just gives me an idea of like, oh yeah, well I've done that, or I have something to say about this prompt, and it just, I don't know, triggers my brain something to write. So I like that.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I usually just end up with like a caption that's nearly the same. Knitting and watching TV.
Right. Netflix, right?
Pretty much.
I have another, again, I call it finished object, even though I have some strands to weave in.
Oh, you're done knitting.
I wove in these. Yes, I'm done knitting. That's the problem. That one's been sitting for a while with its strings out because it's not cold enough to wear it. So I finally, these have taken me a while to do because they've just been kind of an on-the-side project. Finished my just simple vanilla socks. So here we go. They are knit, top down, 2x2 cuff. I did 64 stitches on here. And I think I did a size 1.5 needles for the cuff to make it a little snugger and to make the ribbing a little neater. And then I went to size 2 for the body. And this is my Midnight Party sock set yarn. So it has, I know, and it's self-striping, which is super cool. It's kind of self-spiraling because if you look closely, it's actually kind of a spiral that goes around. But yeah, I really like them. And I may have mentioned this last time. It's been a while since I podcast, so I don't really know what I said last time. But I started off with a heel flap and gusset because that's my favorite heel. I feel like it has that double layer on the heel, so I feel like it's going to be sturdier and last longer. But that messed up my stripes. So then I had pooling right here instead of stripes. And that, I didn't like that because I really liked how they looked as I was knitting them up here. So I ripped that out and did a German short row heel.
Is it an afterthought or just a short row?
Just a short row. And I did like 2 rows between the short rows, if that makes sense. So you do short rows up here, and then instead of going straight back into short rows to reduce it, I did 2 regular rows and then did short rows to reduce it. And I really like how that turned out. I feel like it gave, like it didn't have the holes that have been in my, I did both a short row heel and I've done a German short row heel and a wrap and turn short row heel. And with that short row turn right next to each other, I would get little gaps along here.
I had that with the wrap and turn one.
Yeah, and I didn't really like that. But this seemed to have worked. And
it's such a simple fix too.
Yeah, taking away that. Now it did create a slightly larger hole right here, but I had to weave in my end anyways, and so that was really easy to just cinch up.
Yeah, I was saying, a lot of times you end up with a hole in
Yeah.
that corner anyways.
Right, and so I think if I do more like self-striping socks, I'll probably do this heel
Okay.
again.
Nice. I've done an afterthought heel, and that was pretty good.
I've never done those. So do you put in like a different color yarn there, or you just cut it?
So there's 2 different ways that you can do it, and I think I've done each one. So you can do the true afterthought, which is the one that I did most recently, because it was like a slipper sock.
Yeah.
And I just knit the whole thing, and then you put it on, and then you just kind of like pull it towards your foot.
Yeah.
And mark the spot with like a stitch marker,
Okay.
and then take a scrap yarn and run it through.
Okay.
And then you snip the yarn.
Yeah.
Which
Does that make
part's
your
a
heart like
a
stop
little.
for just a
A little bit. I figure it's a good stepping stone towards steeking.
That's right, I've done that actually.
So that one was the true afterthought, and then there's the one where you end up knitting when you get to like halfway down your heel. You knit with the scrap yarn,
Right.
and then you knit with your normal yarn after that, and then you're not cutting it because then you can just pull that one out.
Oh, so you don't even have to cut that. You just.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yes, I haven't done those.
Well, and I was telling myself the whole reason I had to figure out how to do the true afterthought was I was happily knitting along while we watched a movie, and I lost track of
You just kept going?
Yeah. And then I was like, well, I don't really want to rip it back. Time to try afterthoughts.
Yeah, well,
So it works out.
yeah, that works. Yeah, I did my Kitchener. I finished and did the Kitchener for this one like an hour ago.
Oh, I
Right
meant to
before
show
you arrived.
I have, 'cause
Totally done.
I remember one time you talked about having a hard time remembering Kitchener. I have on my Notions bag
Oh, nice.
a little keychain with the
To
Kitchener.
remind myself, I actually just searched it, and it was actually one of those tags that I saw that I was like, oh yeah. Because once I get going, it's just for some reason starting the
It's that
Kitchener
setup. It's trying to remember what the
Yeah,
setup
and it's
is.
not that difficult. I just can't.
But if you don't do it often, it's just not like
Yeah.
muscle memory like the rest of knitting is.
So here's my midnight party, and this is how much I have left. So I could totally knit, yeah, another sock with it. It's 463 yards, I think, and then 20 grams, which I think is 92 yards of the mini. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this yet. I have a blanket that I've been doing the habitation throw.
Mm-hmm.
And I used my mini skein set, which
Yeah.
all coordinated really well. But then I ran out of that mini set, and I don't know if I want to keep using mini sets so it's all matchy, or use lots of
Scrappy.
leftovers.
Well, Scrappy would be fun, but when I saw
Scrappy would
that,
be
I
fun,
was
yeah.
thinking a sock head hat, but with the
Ooh.
green on the brim.
That'd be
Like,
cute.
because these are for your son, right?
Yes, I
Like,
could always dye more of that too.
yeah, because then you don't need quite as much yarn as you would for an adult sock head hat.
That's a good point. He'd probably like that.
And then they would, kind of match.
Now, here's a question. What do you use for your socks for knitting? Do you do magic loop, DPNs, or super shorties?
I haven't tried super shorties yet, and I want to try them.
You should.
But right now, I either do magic loop 2 at a time, or I'll do double point needles.
I don't do 2 at a time, typically. And I don't do DPNs.
I learned on the DPNs first.
Yeah?
But that goes back to the issues with my hands sometimes. I had a pair of socks, that the second sock, just, I don't know how, but was vastly larger than the other one. Which, as long as I've been knitting and as many things as I can make, garments without gauge problems, but there's
Right.
something about, doing one and then coming back later that it's, anyway. So then I started doing them 2 at a time so that I didn't have to
That
worry
makes
about
sense.
that. But recently I've been paying more attention to my gauge, and it's
Mhm.
easier to travel with just 1 sock than
Yes.
2.
And that's why I haven't done it, because socks are my purse knitting.
okay.
They're not my my project. They're
Mhm.
just my I
Your
gotta
portable
have
one.
knitting all the time because it's a comfort thing. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's why I got the double point outs again, which was nice because I put that in my purse as some purse knitting. But I do want to try the little shorties.
Yes, they're definitely different to use, but I like them. I do like them because you don't get any of the ladders you can get with Magic Loop,
And even double points.
right? So that's kind of nice, but they are tiny, so I don't like to knit for super long time with them.
Make
I
it
knit.
different.
Yeah, I don't know. I get sick of it, I guess.
Mhm.
And I did knit my heel with these, but then when you get to the toe, you need something else. So I use Magic Loop when I do the toe
Toe.
because you can't.
Yeah.
These aren't long enough to do Magic Loop, and then there's too few stitches to stretch it around. So, but I have been enjoying these.
Yeah, I want to try those.
These are Chalgoos.
Yeah, I have their double point needle set and
Yeah.
then some of their lace ones.
Do you have one of those fancy little snappy things for your DPNs?
I do. I also have the one that looks like a glasses case. It's a tube. It
Oh,
looks
I've
like the
seen
old
those too.
school. Because that's kind of nice too. Because then it's harder. So sometimes with the snap soft one, you still can kind of get stabbed when it's in your purse with double point needles.
Because they shift.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So
Yeah, I've used DPNs before, but
not your thing.
not very often. Well, I've never bought any. I have old metal ones, and my problem with them is that occasionally one would slide out.
It does happen if you're not careful.
Yeah, yeah. When I teach knitting, I teach with wooden needles
More tricky.
intentionally. Metal is super cheap, and you can find them at yard sales super cheap. But the last thing I want to do is give a new knitter something that's going to frustrate them. And the stitches fall off.
Yeah.
Whereas with like the bamboo, like clover ones or whatever.
That's what I learned on.
Yeah,
it was
it's
more grippy.
It sticks better. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, do you have, I do have another work in progress. Do you have any more works in progress?
I brought one with me. Once again, it's one of your patterns.
Oh, I have a couple more.
So I have the wool top, which is top down, and it's lace on the front and the back with some stockinette on the edges. And so obviously once you block it, it lays way prettier. But I was inspired, one of your, I think your test knitters had done a gradient. And I don't know if she used a gradient yarn or just different yarns, but
I think she used different yarns.
She did? Okay, so we did the same thing.
Yeah.
I wanted to use some yarn out of stash, and I saw hers, and I was envisioning this as like a work top, professional looking, nice work shirt, and I really liked the idea of a white to black gradient. So I had a bunch of Knit Picks Stroll and different colors, and that's all that's left of the ball of white.
But that's perfect because you're trying to use it up, right?
I was. But I do have more if I chose to make the sleeves white. I'm still debating. Right now I'm leaning towards black. But I did still have a lot more than I thought I would of the other colors, which is nice. I mean, then you can make more things, right? But it's gone from, I think this one is Dove, and then I think they called this one, no, this one was white, Dove Heather, Cobblestone Heather, and then I think that might just be black. Something like that. But it's Stroll, so it's merino wool and nylon blend, but it's really soft.
I've used Stroll before for a few things. I have a big pink shawl that I like that's out of Stroll.
Yeah. Like usual, I had to go down 2 needle sizes.
Oh yeah? You're a
very loose
knitter. Loose knitter.
Yeah. Apparently I've got a little tangle going on. But it's really nice. I like that it's in the round. And that's always very soothing to me, and you don't have to deal with the pearls and all that stuff. And then the knit repeat is very memorizable. So once you've done it a little bit, like pretty much by the time you're done with the white, you can kind of just keep rolling. So that's been very nice. I did not plan out the size of the yarn too much. I just kind of went until I ran out of white because I didn't want a weird stripe like part of the way up in my shaping in the shoulders and everything.
So you want to get to the split.
Yep.
Yes.
And then I've just kind of been basing it off that. So I might extend the black a little further just so it's the same.
That makes sense. It might look awkward to have the black like half the size of the other chunks.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to extend the length a little bit, which is, I do kind of like a longer shirt sometimes, so I think it'll be great. I'm excited for it. My goal is to try and finish the body this week. Yay!
It'll be so pretty when it's blocked out and then you can see all the lace.
Yes. Yeah, I keep like trying to show it to my husband and I'm like, see when you stretch it.
See it.
But yeah. So that's the only one I brought with me. The rest of them are at home.
Awesome. I have almost finished object. Excuse the dog.
He agrees.
I think we're boring him. So this is the Jane Bennett sleeveless top. Eventually, a long time ago, I had a dream of like a whole collection of Pride and Prejudice knitwear patterns. So I have the Lydia Bennett shawl, I have this one, and now I finally have this one, which is out in test knitting, and actually I would love large and extra large, and my like 2XL plus pattern grading is almost done. So I know I have one person who's interested in that, but I'd really like some more so that I can have that adequately test knit. But I am knitting a second one for myself. This one is, I went up a size, so it's a medium. I just blocked it and it's still damp right now. And I'm knitting this one out of some cotton that I had that someone gave me. And I was just talking to her the other day and she said that she was given the cotton by someone else and just never used it. And so it's like upwards of like 30 years plus old. But they're all these little bags in like pristine condition. And they were already set up to be like a fingering weight doubled. So it was perfect for my pattern. And yeah, I knit most of this by the pool while my kids were in swim practice.
Nice.
And so it has the lace front, and it's just the lace panel here in the middle, and it's garter, and then the back is, let's see, I have a lot of strands hanging out here. Back is a V-neck. Well, it's really reversible, so there's no front and back. Side 2 here is a V-neck. And then side 1 is the lace. So you can wear this in the back or the front. Yeah. Knit in 2 pieces, and then all I've got to do is seam the shoulders and the sides. And then I'll be done. Well, finish weaving in the ends, of course. One day.
I'd rather weave in ends than seam.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. The seaming accomplishes something. Weaving in ends, like it doesn't produce anything. Except for a wearable garment.
For me, that's the like final
Yeah.
step. And seaming's always like, it's gonna take forever.
See, this won't take too bad. And because it's garter, I find mattress stitch onto garter side by side really easy because you just match the bumps.
Yeah.
There you go. So I'm excited to get this done once it fully dries out. I have a pair of shorts, also in a pair of linen pants, both linen shorts and linen pants that have like a little stripe in them that are pink. So it'll work really, really well with that. So I'm excited about that. So that's mostly done. And I have a crochet project. I don't think I've gotten much further since last time because I really focused on my Jane Bennett top.
Okay. He's quite calm when you just drop a project on him.
Yeah, once he gets sleeping, he's pretty good. Occasionally he, like I'll knit over top of him and the yarn will tickle his ear or whatever. And eventually he just starts to flinch.
Our cat used to like to bite my cables on my interchangeable needles while I would knit because it would sit there and flick.
So she'd like bad at him, bite him.
Yeah.
Cute. So I think I showed this before. I don't know how far I'd gotten. I have the back of this, and I'm just winging it here. And it's going to be like a bathing suit cover up, kind of like a poncho, but it's split down the middle. And it's crochet. And so yeah, that's the one panel at the front.
It's going to be pretty.
There we go. There it is. And hopefully I'll finish it in the summer so I can wear it. So, my only concern is that the back is a little more airy than the front. I'm thinking once I block it, it'll be a little more open in the front.
That's not terrible either though, because I mean the front's more what you want covered.
To cover up. That's true. That's true.
When you're covering up.
Yeah. It's all cotton. It's Knit Picks, comfy fingering weight cotton that I had bought for another project a long time ago, and it's stash. So I'm using stash. I'm using, I don't have any clue. Oh, G 4.25 millimeter crochet hook, and the flower in the back, and then the front stitch is out of my like ancient encyclopedia of crochet by Leisure Publication. It says a leisure. Oh, Donna Cooler. Donna Cooler.
It's one of the nice things about knitting and crochet though, like the stitches never go out of style.
That's true. Like how you put them together does, but the stitches themselves don't.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think I got this back when I was a child and learned how to knit or crochet. Learned how to crochet.
Wow.
Yeah. And I've made a number of things just kind of based on that. And I don't know if I ever crocheted with a pattern.
Really?
Like I just kind of would wing it.
My favorite crochet pattern I did was for my older nephew. And it was a kind of like a chevron, but all in like blue, but it made waves. And then you crocheted fish and an octopus
Aww.
and sewed them on. So it was like applique.
Yeah.
And I really liked that
I
one.
bet they look good.
It was super cute.
That grainy chevron really worked for that one.
It did, yeah.
For water. Nice. Okay, I have a lot of knitting ideas that I want to do. I don't know if you do or not. I'm just going to show some of my plans. I think I talked about this at one point in time too. This is my strawberry kiwi held with mohair.
That mohair looks like iridescent. That's beautiful.
It's fun. And it's just super fun to experiment with this because I want to make a cardigan. I have lots of plans for this. And so I tested it out with pink cotton candy here, and then with the green moss color mohair here. And so just holding double with the strawberry kiwi. So it really changes how, like, which color is dominant. So in the pink cotton candy one, you still see green stripes, but it's not, like, the pink is totally dominant, and then the green is the same way, just the opposite. So this combo I think is going to be for my daughter, and I might even stripe the mohair in it for a cardigan, yeah, or just go one way or the other. And I haven't decided which. I'm leaning towards green actually for her. And I want to make a cardigan, and I want it to be top down raglan cardigan, and then I want to, and just kind of simple, and pick up stitches for the collar and make it kind of a longish collar so it can be super cozy.
So like a shawl collar?
Yeah.
That'd be cute.
And I think the best gauge was either a 7 or 8. I wrote it down. US 7 or 8, so it's fairly large needle, so it should go pretty quickly. But it's a fingering weight held with the mohair, so it'll be lightweight but warm, and just, yeah, I know they'll love it. They love fuzzy things.
Oh, that's good.
So one of these combos, excuse you, Wookie, it's for my youngest daughter, and then my other daughter wants one too, and I think I'm going to do hers out of Mermaid Lagoon.
Ooh.
This one's DK, but I do it in fingering weight. I would do it in fingering weight for her. And then I don't know what mohair I would do with it. I'm thinking about the deep purple.
That's what I was leaning towards.
Yeah, with it. So I think
Or
that
even
would be fun. The green would work too.
if you wanted to pull those faded
Yeah, I wonder how
gradient
pink would
areas, that might be fun because it would make those more subtle sections
true.
pop. But I would think purple or pink.
Yeah. I was leaning towards maybe dyeing a nice deep purple and making it kind of darker.
That'd be pretty.
So I'm going to do that for my 11-year-old daughter. And then, I don't know, I've been on a cardigan kick. So then I want to make one for myself, and I want to make it out of Aurora Borealis, and then either dye my mohair the same combo with the purple and green, but primarily blue, or just do blue and have the purple and green be super subtle, just kind of add a dynamic nature to the color, you know?
Those would both be beautiful.
Yeah, as opposed to it like popping. Yeah,
Those are my colors.
those are.
Yeah.
I like this one a lot.
So I like them all.
Yes, so I'm gonna do that. So it'd be lightweight and fuzzy. Yeah. I want them all to be made now. But that's not gonna happen. And then another project that I have to dye yarn for is Caitlin Hunter's Ghost Horse Sweater, which I made out of scrap yarn for my daughter. I did it out of fingering weight for her because she's a tiny little girl and it's an adult pattern. But I want to make one out of my yarn for me in DK, and I kind of want to make one similar to her colors. And I have this Mexican hot chocolate, and I don't have one with me, but a coffee and cream. So this would be kind of the background, and then just have kind of a very light tan as the second color, the top color.
That'd be pretty.
Yeah. And I think that color-wise, it would be very, kind of like this color with it, actually.
It'd be very flattering.
Yeah, and very wearable.
Mm-hmm.
Not anything too
That's
bold.
something I've had to learn recently, is to knit. Like, I kept doing the exact opposite of what you should do. Be like, oh, well, of my store-bought stuff, I don't have anything that's orange, let's say, and so then I must knit something orange. But then you can't find anything to wear with it when in your normal stuff. So actually sticking to my colors and kind of not always, like, having some that are fun, exciting color combos, but not everything needs to be an exciting color combo so that it's more wearable.
That's always the debate. Do you knit what you want to knit with or what you want to wear?
Yeah, because they're not always the same.
Yeah. I think maybe that's where socks come into play. Because you can go wild with socks, you know, and just knit with fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like this, I wear it all the time, and partly is because it's just neutral.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like to wear neutrals, but it's fun to knit with fun stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah. That's all I have today.
Okay.
What else are you planning on making
I'm
after this?
on a knit along kick at the moment, I think. So there's quite a few coming out. Andrea Renee Knits, she released a flash sale on the Weekender and the Weekender Lite today, if you subscribe to her newsletter. And she is doing it as part of the Tour de Fleece, and the original intention is to spin your own yarn and then knit the sweater, but to make it more inclusive, not everyone has to spin. I don't spin.
I would love to spin.
I would too, but I don't need another hobby. I've got entirely too many already.
When the kids are out of the house.
So I want to make one of those. I've had some alpaca yarn in stash forever. And I've always been afraid of making it into a sweater because I bought it before I knew much about different fibers growing. And so then I've been nervous because it's 100% alpaca to make it into a sweater. Yeah. But the Weekender is already big. So if it's stretched out, it wouldn't really matter because you already need like 10 inches of positive ease as recommended. So I could size down where it's like 7 inches of positive ease, and then knowing eventually the alpaca will probably grow. It's true. So I was thinking about doing that.
I think the only issue you could have is sleeve length. Like you could have the right sleeve length, and then a little while later it'd be way too long. You could cuff them then, though.
Yeah, so if I make it long enough, then maybe I can cuff them and it'll look like it's on purpose.
Yeah, there you go.
And then also...
Unless you held something with it.
Which I was also thinking about, because I can't remember if it's a DK or a worsted, and the pattern calls for worsted. And then I have a wool lace weight that I got in a yarn subscription box a long time ago, but I didn't like the pattern it came with. But it's like 2,000 yards of...
Does it go well with the...
It would, because it's gray, and then honestly it's almost the exact same colors as this sweater. Because the alpaca is a little bit brighter, and the gray is very similar. So it would work.
It'd be like a marled look.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty.
Which I wouldn't mind, because the alpaca is already kind of a... it looks more like a homespun 2-ply.
Okay. So
it being marled would still
work. It would
work.
go with it, yeah.
So that's kind of one thing I'm thinking about. And then the Olive Knits Sail Away cardigan starts July 1st. The original challenge is 4 days, which is impossible for me.
How chunky is the knit?
It's only worsted.
In 4 days?
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Is it cropped?
No. And it's color work. So I have no idea how you would do it in 4 days. But apparently this lady made one many years ago, a different pattern. And now it's become an annual thing where you just basically...
Try to do it in 4 days?
They do. Or it's like a month long for people that are a little more
reasonable.
reasonable.
A month is totally reasonable. 4 days?
Yeah. So the local yarn store is participating in it, and there's like drawings and stuff.
Untangled Pearls?
Rowan's. You know Untangled Pearls merged back with Rowan at Finnegan's Run. The actual Untangled Pearls store is closed now.
I knew they moved. I didn't know they had changed.
Yeah, they merged back with their sister store at the new location. So both of them are sponsoring it, but it's in the same building. So they're doing like prizes and things. So I might participate in that because I got some yarn at the semi-annual clearance that is a nice like tan tweed with like brown and black in it. And so it'd be pretty neutral, and then I could pick a mostly neutral like color work at the top. So I was thinking about doing that in July.
Fun.
So
yeah, it's very fun.
Check it out online.
I know, you've intrigued me. I could shift gears for my personal cardigan.
It's a cute pattern.
Yeah.
And there are different options for different yarn weights. But I kind of like was paying more attention to, I think it was DK or worsted, I think.
I could still do my color combo.
You could.
But it'd be thicker. I kind of like the idea of a super lightweight one. I'll look into that.
So I think those are probably the main ones, but I always save a whole lot of patterns and you know, you can put your Q on Ravelry, which I just stopped even trying to keep that up to date because it's just...
Yes. I don't keep mine up to date. Yeah.